I just realized the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is going to lose its 50% projectile velocity perk. I feel like that's going to hurt its overall effectiveness a good bit. Alright, so the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is definitely something I wanted to talk about today because I do plan on prestiging the Heavy first. At least that's what I really think I'm going to do. I mean, ultimately I'm going to prestige them all, right? But I really want to jump into, leveling up my Heavy for prestige levels. And I am going to use the heavy Plasma Incinerator. I want to use Duelist with Heavy. I think that's a very fun perk for Heavy to have. And not to mention, I think you can always just respec your prestige perks anyway. But regardless, yes, the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is definitely going through a bit of a rework as far as the way the perks are going to be, basically aligned for the perk tree. And Plasma Speed. Relic tier replaced with Plasma Collection. Any energy reserve of plasma weapons increases by 20%. Okay. Any extra ammo for the plasma weapon is going to be really strong. Like, honestly, especially for Heavy. But there is going to be a prestige perk for Heavy where you can get your ammo back for Extremis executions also. Also Extremis melee as well. So even if you get a Extremis stomp in, you are going to be able to get some extra ammo back, so that's really helpful. Anyway, the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is turning into one of my favorite weapons in the game. I'm pretty bad at it, but I'm still using it because I'm just really enjoying it with Heavy at the moment. I feel like I always go through phases with certain classes, and right now I'm definitely going through a bit of a Heavy Plasma Incinerator phase. So I'm a tad bit worried about how people are going to, basically react to this. And I think people need to understand that the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is always going to be a very powerful weapon. I do like the, basically the fast charging and basically the ability to not use too much ammo with your, with the full charges, So the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is still going to be a very powerful weapon. It's going to be a bit weirder it's going to be a bit weirder, I think, for people who are very committed to using the weapon. Basically getting used to the perk rework is going to make them probably feel like the Heavy Plasma Incinerator is feeling a bit slow. But I will say, you're going to feel the impact of the weapon, and the Heavy Plasma Incinerator still has some very good perks, and the PTS Heavy Plasma Incinerator is still one of the strongest weapons in the game. It is very, very fun to use, as long as you build around it. And that's, essentially really easy to do with the Heavy Plasma Incinerator. But anyway, we're going to jump into the comments. We're going to see the discussion centered around this weapon at the moment, because I find this very interesting, because this is definitely a weapon I'm interested in using for my first prestige grind. Honestly, I never used that one. Extra damage perk shot was always my main use. I never saw any point in the extra speed when most of the time I hit my target, even the zone throws. Well, okay, well, good for you. most of the time, especially zone throws, I miss my target. No, but I'm kidding. Seriously, this is definitely a good attitude to have with this weapon right now, because I think they've really made the Heavy Plasma Incinerator feel a little bit more powerful as far as the single shot, and maybe feel a little bit less like the Tacticals Plasma Incinerator. This is kind of funny, though. I definitely need to get used to how you can aim with the crosshairs with the Heavy Plasma Incinerator, and that can make zone throws a little bit easier to hit, but sometimes zone throws just do this, like, a little last-minute, like, side swipe or something, and then just dodge your attack. It's kind of rough. But still, I find it fun. I find it basically a new challenge, something I need to get better at, so it's definitely something I'm interested in trying out. As per patch notes, Plasma Speed, the perk that gave Heavy Plasma 50% projectile velocity, and which was, in my opinion, a game changer in terms of the weapon's performance and usability, is being replaced with an ammo bonus. Don't get me wrong, more ammo is great, but I'd rather have the old version. Maybe it's always just been a crutch and I need to get good, but personally, I've found it made the weapon a lot more fun and usable. Oh, with the bullet velocity, and I'm a little sad it's gone. Okay, that's the bullet velocity. I can understand people being disappointed about that. That makes sense. I think the weapon still charges very fast, or at least what it's supposed to be. I still think it's a balanced charge. But yeah, bullet velocity can still kind of, if you miss your shot, it can definitely hit you out of your flow with the heavy plasma incinerator sometimes. So I feel like the weapon definitely was a bit faster, obviously because of the 50% projectile velocity here. But like with the charging as well, I think paired really well with the velocity and basically put the weapon in a position where it felt very fast and maybe a little bit too much like the Tactical's the Tactical's plasma incinerator. Even though we all know it's no matter how fast the heavy plasma incinerator is as far as velocity, it still has its own, basically its own projectile. So it's going to feel unique no matter what. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not too sure why they're afraid of the projectile velocity, but I think they were afraid of pairing the projectile velocity with the fast charge speed as well. I think that's kind of what they were kind of concerned about maybe. Yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, because it's definitely kind of an interesting choice for the heavy plasma incinerator. I like I said, I'm still kind of getting used to the weapon. So a consistent projectile velocity was definitely something that I had to get good with. I had to understand what the projectile looked like. So like changing it kind of would maybe make it a little bit harder for me to get used to, but regardless, I'm just gonna get some practice in. It won't matter as soon as I'm, the weapon isn't hard to use in the sense that like you can't be effective with it if you don't know how to use it. It's actually the opposite. You cannot know how to use it and still be very effective with it. The weapon is hard to use because of matchups like zoanthropes, disc shamans sometimes, that sort of thing. And even with teleporting Chaos Rubric Marines, sometimes they can just teleport into a bad spot, and it can be a weird shot for the heavy plasma incinerator. So I can see the velocity obviously being something that would benefit basically the position for the weapon. No matter where you are, as long as the bullet is traveling fast enough, you're gonna hit your target. That's kind of nice. So this is interesting. I think they're definitely making it a little bit more, I guess I would hate to say skill-based, because it does feel like a slow weapon, but maybe making it a little bit more decision-based, like punishing basically bad position. It's basically just trying to punish bad position for using the heavy plasma a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Interesting. Definitely let me know how you feel about this in the comments. But as far as I know, I'm not too concerned with it, but that's because I'm not even used to the projectile velocity regardless. Dropping shooting speed for ammo? Duh, that's a no-brainer. Who cares about firing or venting speed? Give me that 20% more ammo. The heavy plasma incinerator doesn't need speed. Its charge shots are nukes. I'll definitely take more ammo. That's more dead Xenos and heretics. I mean, yeah, fair point. Fair point. Not to mention, like, yeah, the heavy's going to have more ammo support with patch 7 anyway, so I think that puts the weapon in a pretty good spot, I would say. That's a pretty good way to put it. I think people are just really enjoyed the projectile velocity of the weapon and wanted to, wanted to pair that with other perks and stuff. This is definitely a fair point though, because like the heavy plasma incinerator is definitely one of those weapons where the ammo capacity on it is the one thing that's going to hold you back. If you're out of ammo, that weapon is not going to be good. I already avoid using the heavy plasma incinerator because I lack the intuition needed to figure out how to precisely arc my shots with it, so I'm not burning ammo trying to hit my target. Yeah, I've been there. Trial and error, trial and error. If I'm going to lose speed on top of that, I just see zero appeal in using it at all. The appeal for me, I kind of like how it looks with heavy. I think heavy looks really cool just holding it, so that's kind of, that's the appeal for me. But I understand how hard that weapon hits when fully charged. When you see a pack of majors and you get a fully charged heavy plasma incinerator just landing right in the middle of that, and you see all those red executionable targets, yeah, that's the appeal of the weapon. Yeah, that it feels very, very good to hit one of those. Honestly, that's the destructive force behind the heavy plasma incinerator cannot be stopped. It is such a good weapon. I don't really see the projectile speed being that big of a deal. As long as it can charge consistently and still, you know, obviously hit hard, then you should be good overall.